Hiya, how you doing? Yes, I'm in the bedroom today. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and a very happy Monday Moon Day to all you Hinsters. If you're new, welcome too. So in this video we are going to be talking about a topic actually inspired by one of my longtime subscribers and some of the questions and discussions we've both had over the past few months. I'm going to try to encapsulate all of that and title this topic Wishing Upon versus Working with the Stars. But before we get into this, please do give this video a like if you like what I do, and subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, I want to shout out my collaboration with my good friend Alvia over on our new YouTube channel, Mercurial Mystics, where we've most recently been discussing aliens. If you'd like a reading with me as well, check out the details in the description below. And perhaps most importantly, happy Cappy season. Yes, it is finally the official season of the goat, my beloved Capricorn. And you may therefore know what this means. Yes, if you're a Capricorn sun, you can now take advantage of my offer exclusively for you, which is 20% off any of my services so long as you book during Capricorn season. The last day of this offer is going to be January 20th, 2021. You can also book a reading for a Capricorn Sun loved one with the same discount offer. And finally, speaking of Capricorns, all Capricorn season this year, I'm going to be promoting two gorgeous and super talented Capricorn Sun artists. My good friend Ebrul, who you can find over on Instagram, at Ebrul Illustrates, who, by the way, has designed my stag channel art, which you might be familiar with, and a couple other pieces you may have seen in some of my older videos. And the second super goat is Tufawon, who you can also find on Instagram at Tufawon, who is a Lakota Boricua artist whose music and lyrics are just phenomenal. So look out in my videos this Capricorn season. I'll be sharing just a few of their creative gems, and I do hope you enjoy and can go and give them both some love. Alrighty, back to today's topic. So I want to make this video basically for anyone who might resonate with a certain kind of challenge, which is learning how to, what I'm calling, both wish upon the stars and work with the stars. By the stars, yes, I mean the planets and your natal astrology, transit astrology, and how we make sense of and actually apply this astrology to our real lives. Applied astrology is moving with the planets, not only watching them and waiting for things to happen. I often find that astrology becomes a lot like stargazing. We might become transfixed by our birth chart or current transits, interpreting these stars that we're gazing at as simply what is written in us and written for us, without us having to do anything at all. It's like learning that you're a Scorpio sun, and maybe even all your other placements, then not doing any of the shadow work, or sometimes just overlooking certain sides of our placements with a sort of, well, I'm a Scorpio, so that's why I can, or that's why I do, or that's what I'm meant to do. The sun, that's really the sun talking, actually, with the energies of pride and duty and happy illumination of truth. But we sometimes forgo the inherent or the whole makeup that is the mix of light and shade, preferring to more consciously boast about some of our placements and conveniently or unconsciously forget about other placements. One funny way in which this sometimes plays out, I found, is that person, who gets a little bit into astrology, or even a lot into astrology. I've seen fully fledged astrologers do this as well, but they might hate on Virgo, let's say, or any particular sign, only to later discover that they are a Virgo rising, and well, they weren't as careful about what exactly they were wishing upon. You can also easily start to develop what I'm calling the fate weight, which is especially common when looking at transit astrology, where we find out that, just for example, Venus is going to start transiting our second house of personal assets. So we get really excited and then immediately disappointed when nothing happened as Venus swiftly leaves our second house. Well, this is because I feel we can't just wait for fortune or good fate to come to us. Just like we can't only rely on our quote unquote good natal placements without doing any of the other personal or spiritual work. The Divine Venus actually touched on this in one of her recent videos, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was something along the lines of how, because a lot of us are stuck at home right now, we won't actually feel some of these transits as profoundly, most especially if we're simply sitting on the couch waiting for the planets to bring us what we want. It won't be felt. Also, pandemic or not, this still remains true and always has, I believe. We can easily squander transit potential by not going out much, not engaging much with others, not experiencing the world with breadth or with explorative movement. Just as your natal shadow astrology can fly over your head, so can the transits. And there's no one of us actually that is special, to be honest. And the planets aren't there at your beck and call. They are their own beings actually, and moving, dancing that divine dance, whether you participate or not. I think actually that spirituality is a mixture of potentiality and practice. Yes, we do in astrology have to look through the telescope and do some gazing, but that the divine dance isn't just for show. It's something that we too shine back and actually utilize. So we do need to step back from the telescope and stand up and start applying that astrology. We can't just be the proud Scorpio sun or the Virgo hater. We have to know what it actually means to be a Scorpio right here, right now, what can be done with that knowledge, and also why we're even spreading negativity about a certain sign without our own self-reflection, which also kind of suggests that we somehow believe others can be deeply problematic, but that somehow we are exempted. We might like to consider the moon, which I often interpret as how we react, take responsibility, how we receive information, and how we can bring both the sun and the moon together, I guess, for this topic. Yes, we can illuminate our natal astrology and the details of real-time transits, but we also need to respond to these things and take care of them, and especially to feel out whatever we might be keeping more private or that we're confused about. Another part of this is that you are the one and the only one who really knows you. At the end of the day, you're the only one who will come to know how to use your natal astrology, how to make the most of astrological transits. As I kind of touched on just before, there's no good or bad placement, in part due to free will, which I'll get onto in a bit, but also because every single placement, every single aspect, every single sign, every single energy has a side that can help you and others, and a side that can hurt you and others. When we bring shadow work into this, it's you and you alone who knows what work needs to be done. Again, at the end of the day, sometimes it takes someone else or some process, right? But at the end of the day, and what sides of you need to be recognized and controlled, or even sometimes eliminated to the best of your ability and in the best of your interests. The more we know ourselves as well, the easier it is to then work with the stars instead of staying on that couch wishing for a soulmate, wishing for a good job, wishing for a sudden burst of inspiration. Get out there into the wider world, whether literally or figuratively, and apply both our strong natal astromagic and the advantageous waves presented to us by real-time transits, by simply radiating with the natural energies of ourselves, and by simply knowing how to ride the energies of the day. We attract and interact with and encounter people and places and things and ideas that mirror our own energies and actions. I'm not saying that this is an overnight thing. An overnight thing might be possible, but I think it's rare. It does take a lot of time, a lot of real adjustments, and most likely necessary and regular periods of isolation. I like to explain knowing yourself like this. Have you ever been to a party, a meeting, some hangout, and there's like, or because there's so many different personalities, ideas, and topics, you easily find yourself agreeing or disagreeing with people. But then, like, on your way home, or when you're at home actually, or when you're going through some more meditative state on your own, you start to readjust to your natural self and get these thoughts like, why did I even say that? Why did I agree with them? What triggered me so much to be so against them? That's when you're starting to get out of the waters of other spirits and back into your own. Again, it's not an immediate thing. We can't like switch it on and off necessarily, but with practice and attention to energies, we do find, I feel, that we can more easily return to a state of self, then slowly but surely reflect and make any necessary and probably small changes. Again, it's almost never easy. We'll be back at those parties again, back at those meetings or whatever again, and challenged yet again with the experience of being in the waters of multiple other spirits. Right now, as I film this video, we do enter officially Capricorn season with the sun at 0 degrees of this cardinal earth sign. So this season can be also really useful for us to do both this wishing upon and the working with the stars. Earth element representing here work and worth, and also moving with the stars as a wise response. That's really Capricorn energy coming through, versus wallowing in things that might be drowning, burning, or confusing us. I want to also talk about free will and fate. I often describe astrology as a weather report and astrologers as weather forecasters. Has for you the weather forecast ever been wrong? Astrological reports and also other forms of divination like tarot, they're kind of similar to weather reports. The forecaster can only give you their interpretation of the stars based on their own intuition and their own knowledge sort of pools. It's always best, I believe, if the astrologer is ethical and tentative, emphasize that there are no absolutes in energy, the only absolute perhaps being that the energy will be there, just perhaps not in the way that the astrologer told you it would. But for example, two people are having the sun transit their 4th house in real time. The experiences that both people have will always carry the signatures of the sun and the 4th house. That's the sun, okay? But not at all necessarily with the same results. The first person, they might get lots of illumination, that's the sun, about their family roots. That's a 4th house theme. While the second person gets somehow really arrogant and selfish, that's also the sun, about their homeland, also a common 4th house theme. Both of these people have free will in terms of how they respond to their experiences. For example, let's say the first person discovers all this cool stuff about their ancestry. Maybe they just end up not caring, or they ignore this stuff, this information, these revelations. Or maybe themes highlighted in some other house or houses in their chart at the same time overpower the individual. And they don't really have time at this time to engage with this 4th house theme in the more growthful way or positive way, if you like. It might be a little bit squandered or muted. And maybe the 2nd house person does, yes, have these arrogant and maybe even Nazi sort of episodes, but the sun teaches them something. Maybe, these episodes of theirs get a bit too public. The sun does make things unmissable after all, and due maybe to some humiliation, punishment, they eventually realize the error of their ways and actually change the way they deal with this 4th house theme. But do you see how this is kind of like the weather forecast? The weather person can tell you that it's freezing cold and stormy and hurricanes and shiz, all kinds of shiz outside this weekend. But at the end of the day, it's up to you as to whether or not you step outdoors, right? Some people even chase hurricanes and they get a thrill. Some people love being out in the rain. Likewise, just because the forecast says it's a gorgeously sunny day or perfectly temperate day, who is forcing you to go outside? You can stay indoors and miss all of that sunshine. Maybe you find your own sunshine indoors. Maybe you use the time wisely to work on something amazing. Or you're okay not going out right now if it means that you can get fully rested and not put yourself out there too early. And of course, people they form lifelong relationships in the miserable winter. Of course they do. People break up in the long hot summer. There's no one forecast or forecaster that can overpower your free will. Still, I don't believe personally that this means that fate is suddenly irrelevant due to having free will. Fate is such a mysterious thing, and often we only see it in hindsight. It's like someone who has all the free will in the world to travel the world, or to move house 100 times, or to break up with people and get with new people a zillion times, only in the end to realize that they were doing that to escape something unresolved at home. And by the way, the person might never realize this. That could be their fate as well. Or maybe only to realize that they were doing this because they were never meant to settle, or because they needed to figure themselves out first before getting intimate with other people. Our fate is sort of a general path, but the terrain of that path isn't always known or seen, especially in real time. It's also neither good nor bad fate. It's just like our natal astrology. Our natal astrology being a mirror of the particular makeup of our inherited, as I mentioned before, light and shade. I'm a light and shade worker, by the way, where our fate simply mirrors the results as well. So fate also mirrors the results of the combination of choices and circumstances. Our fate isn't the determiner of our choices, because we obviously always have free will, but it is the determiner of our destination. In this way, I don't think we're taken by or being punished by the stars. We are just under them, and we are from them, but also we're not them. I hope this again made some sense. These are just my reflections, of course, on what I've myself sometimes struggled with, and like what my clients sometimes struggle with. This expectation versus exertion within the universe, and the frustration of the still always mysterious ways in which energies actually play out for us. And like the weather report, we can take it or we can leave it. We can make whatever we want out of lemons. We can reject the lemons. It's our prerogative. We can be taken to the edge of the water, but no one and nothing can force us to drink that water. So this leads us on to my final thought. We do have Aquarius season officially beginning in about a month's time, which is a season of astrology. But in all senses during Aquarius season, we will likely get more illumination on how to join the dots, these dots. We will calculate more innovative moves that will eventually serve us in the new astral year. At the end of the day, Aquarius is this archetype that can only bring you to the telescope, and it cannot force you to look and see. So that's going to be my little video for you. Let us know in the comments below if this resonates. What are your thoughts? What's your take on this sort of wishing upon versus working with the stars? I'd love to hear your troubles with this struggle sometimes, and if you have any tips for anyone else watching already. So have a lovely Monday moon day. Take care. I love you very much.